Hello and welcome back to Film Smart. In this episode, we're going to review Star Wars: The Force Awakens, the 7th installment in the Star Wars franchise. We're just going to give our initial thoughts first, and then we're going to get deeper into what we really liked, what we didn't like, and then giving it a rating. So let's start off with the characters. I think that's a good part because we're bringing in the old with the new. So who was your favorite new character?
Rey.
Right.
She had to be my new favorite
character.
character.
Can you count BB-8 as a character?
Yes,
BB-8.
Lots of personality in that little robot.
Yes, for sure.
For me, it was Kylo Ren because he was a villain that was really struggling because, in the original trilogy you had Darth Vader and he was cool and I loved it. I think he's the greatest cinematic villain of all time. But there wasn't a lot of personality to him until later on. But with Kylo Ren, you jump right into it. And that reminds me, spoiler alert.
This is a spoiler review.
So we find out that he's Han's son. That already gives him enough depth because with Darth Vader, we didn't know that he was Luke's father until the end of the 5th movie. Until the end of Empire Strikes Back. So we went through a whole movie and most of the second one not having any idea. And now we start right off the bat. Oh, that's our son. Then he kills him. And he's kind of this inner struggle with Kylo Ren that we hadn't seen since Anakin and Revenge of the Sith, which was done terribly, by the way. But but nevertheless, we hadn't seen it. But
you're right.
But yeah, now we see it in Kylo Ren. I mean, Rey was great. Finn, we haven't even talked about Finn. Finn was a great character. I mean,
Finn was.
That was a character I was in the trailers. I had been a little worried about the acting. I was like, I don't know. He has a really thick accent. I was worried. But
does he really? I couldn't even tell.
He has a very thick accent. If you've ever seen Attack the Block, but he comes into this movie and he has all this energy. I have some problems with his character, but as far as the acting wise, and actually I liked the character. There's some, we'll get into that with what I didn't like, but all of these actors coming in, great energy. Loved what they did. Adam Driver, I don't know how much he did. I mean, he was great when he took the mask off. I don't know how much you have to do when you have the mask on.
Yeah, and he was really just walking around.
Because that's a little different than what Darth Vader. Darth Vader was played by like 4 different people. You had the guy in the suit, I think David Prowse, and you had James Earl Jones doing the voice. Then you had like 4 other people doing the breathing. And then
was Kylo Ren, was his actual stuff, like was he going right through a voice modifier, or did they do it after the fact?
I don't know.
Because I wonder, that would change. I know with acting, I would be totally thrown off. It was just his normal voice, and it was supposed to be like a scary
That's what
scene.
they did with Darth Vader.
Yeah,
David Prowse would do all the voice work, and then you'd realize, it's all going to be redubbed and editing with James Earl Jones. But nevertheless, Kylo Ren, we'll talk more about him, but he's a really awesome character. And we're looking at the poster. I love how they parallel him with her staff, his lightsaber with her staff, showing a connection. A cousin connection, if you will. But now let's talk about the old characters. Who was our favorite returning cast member?
Han Solo, hands down.
I think that would. I mean, maybe it's not for you. I don't know. And you can count the droids. You can count any.
Yeah,
I really don't know.
C3 Fatso, no.
See, people say he's fat. I didn't notice anything about him being over.
I didn't think he was fat. He's just boring.
Until someone told me, until our teacher told it, I was like, oh, really? And then
I noticed that he had his
it.
suit. If you notice, his suit is different. Like he has like a new chest plate. Like he has I don't know.
A breastplate?
Yeah, he's built almost now. He's been working out.
Buff C3.
Yeah, he looked like he'd been working out. But he was like matte or chrome almost. Like it wasn't.
Yeah, well, he probably got updated.
Yeah.
But I guess I have to choose Han Solo because he was really the only one that had a ton of impact.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
the other ones
the
really
only one
didn't.
who surfaced.
Luke was in it for 40 seconds.
Carrie Fisher was fine, but you could tell that it had been a while since she last acted.
Yeah.
But I mean, she wasn't bad. It was just kind of. I liked her character.
I'm sure she had a minor role because of that.
Yeah, I loved the shot of her leaning on Han. Because that's when I knew. I was like, he's probably gonna die. When she said, I always hate saying goodbye to you or something like that. Yeah. And then and Khan also said earlier, this day is not turning out how I expected it. I was like, oh God. And then,
they really do foreshadow a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it reminded me of Return of the Jedi.
And then also it foreshadowed when Chewie's really starting to like you. I really think you could have a role on this team.
Mm-hmm.
You can take my place here.
How many spots are there in the cockpit?
How long does Chewbacca live? How long will he be around?
He's really old. He's well into his hundreds. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, he's
because he hasn't aged. Because he was in Revenge of the Sith, which is like 50 years before this. Looks like pretty much this. I didn't even see it. I would have loved to have seen him with a little gray streak or something. That would have been cool. But
that scream he gave. Oh.
Because I knew as soon as I was like, oh, Han Solo's gonna die, and then I'm waiting because I knew Chewie was gonna have a terrible reaction. I mean, a good reaction.
The reaction was what pushed it over the top for me. Yeah. When he died, I was like, oh, I knew that. But then Chewbacca, you forgot that his best friend is gone forever.
Yeah,
like Han Solo's dead, but we knew that. But then Chewbacca's just kind of like, oh, well, I have to find a completely new life.
And then sometimes you have to think about like the ramifications. Like Han Solo's dead. We're never gonna see him on screen again. Like this is the one chance we could see him again because we thought, oh, maybe he'll come back for more. No. It's done. No more Han Solo. I mean, we're going to see a Han Solo movie, but we're never going to see Harrison Ford. Oh, that makes me sad. But so let's talk about our favorite parts of the movie. So what story, plot lines, what did we really like? Because this movie parallels a lot of the old franchise.
Probably just the good versus evil aspect, and then how not everything's black and white. How Kylo Ren was like, oh, I'm still kind of good. And he started out good. They said that basically, and I know I always love stories of redemption. So when he does, and we know he will come back to the light side, or probably kill Snoke or whatever his name is. Oh God, it's gonna be so good.
Well, yeah, because the apprentice always kills his master.
See, on more of a small scale, I liked the setup of Rey and like how they give she's good at climbing, she's good at this, she's good at that, and kind of pushes it into like it's when you see it. It's almost like, when I saw it at least, I'm not a huge Star Wars person, but when I saw it, I was just like, I don't know where this is going to lead to. And then, I mean, at the introduction of the Millennium Falcon, you're like, oh, okay, well, I understand now.
That shit is garbage.
And then they turn right back. I like the pan over.
I love that, yeah.
That was cool. So, there was a lot of parallels. We see Poe Dameron putting information into BB-8, which is just like the scene with as soon as seeing, I think that was like a minute into the movie. I was like, this is A New Hope. And when Carrie Fisher puts it into R2D, or Princess Leia puts it into R2D2, and then we have the Star Killer.
Star Killer.
The whole Han Solo and Kylo Ren on the walk reminds me of Darth Vader. I'm your father, basically. I mean, it ends a little differently, obviously, but and also it reminds me of that, but it also reminds me of Obi-Wan. Just killing Obi-Wan and everybody's watching.
I thought about that. I was like, how Luke kills Darth Vader, but how Kylo Ren killed his father. It's, I don't know. It was weird to me.
Or how Darth Vader really killed himself.
Yeah.
By picking up the Emperor. But,
True.
Yeah, no, I mean, Luke, weakened him. But yeah, Kylo Ren is almost like if Luke just went over the edge, basically. Which makes sense because he was trained by him.
Oh, if Luke was evil. Oh,
remember people were speculating? What if he's evil? What if he still is? What if it was like, I've been behind
Luke is evil and he kills Rey on that island.
Right. That's how the movie starts off.
He forces his way down to the ship and just kills
and all of a sudden,
what is going on?
He flies directly to the base and blows it up.
Kamikaze.
Oh, God.
All of a sudden, Finn has a role now because Rey's gone. New Jedi.
So yeah, Finn. Rey kind of took both roles he would be.
There was another. I told you about Gugu and Batharaz in episode 8, but that's for another discussion. But Captain Phasma, real quick.
Phasma.
What did you think about her? Because they were making kind of a big deal. I mean, she's even in the middle of the poster.
They did make a big deal out of her for her to have a really inconsequential role, which I think that might have been because they didn't say she died or anything, so she might come back and like. Get vengeance on
Yeah, I think she's going to come back in the future. Like, she survived. Remember Snoke's like, oh, Kylo is finished with, I think he's finally finished with his training, telling that to General Hux. What did you think about General Hux, by the way? Domhnall Gleeson's
he was,
was he a little over the top for you?
Kind of, every time I saw him, I was like.
He was good, yeah, he was supposed to be, I think he was like.
He just wanted to be powerful.
Where's Tarkin? I think Tarkin's somewhere on. Yeah, there's Tarkin under Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I think he was supposed to be like Grand Moff Tarkin, but Grand Moff Tarkin was a much better Grand Moff Tarkin. But, I mean, Hux was cool. That speech he gave, that was good. I mean, I liked this. Some people thought it was over the top. I liked it. It really reminded me of Hitler talking to his And that's
Yeah.
again, this is the first. I mean,
I like that part. Yeah.
Stormtroopers have always been Hitler. I mean, some of the
they're
Nazi
going,
soldiers were called stormtroopers, but this is the first time that you really got the Nazi imagery. I remember seeing the trailer and those red flags in that second. I was like,
yeah,
those look
and
just
that,
like
the parallel lines and the exactly. It was just.
And
like,
then I think they did.
Yeah, they went,
They did. They
right
went
out.
like that. Yeah.
Oh.
And he was speaking with. I think he was basing that. I don't know, but I think he was basing that off Hitler's speeches because Hitler would always do that kind of moving with such ferocity. I think that's just what Hux was doing. So you clearly, I think J.J. and Kathleen Kennedy wanted him to really get that Hitler imagery.
I think if they weren't trying to do the Hitler imagery, then they were just like lying to themselves because that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, I mean,
you kind of have to when you have a leader like that of a mass taking down other people, brainwashing people.
A mass genocide leader.
They destroyed an entire planet.
I heard some of reasons I didn't even think about, but the Empire is really fascist. And that's what Hitler is. That's what Mussolini was. They are just Nazis in space with powers, cool powers.
Oh.
But what did you think? Because somebody brought this up. I think Grace Randolph from Beyond the Trailer was talking about how Han Solo was taking Finn and Rey to Maz Kanata's. Basically, it was like Mos Eisley, the bar scene in the first movie. That was another parallel. But because they knew BB-8 was wanted, basically, because they knew the Empire was searching because he has information leading them to Luke. So why did he take BB-8 through that whole bar that everybody could see? I didn't even think about that until Grace Randolph brought that up. I was like, oh, why did he do that? Why would you bring him through that whole bar where everybody could see that? And of course they do see it. Yeah. Like that girl that's next to that, whatever that thing was. And, she's talking to some Empire agent or whatever, or she's an agent herself.
Maybe they were just stupid.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes that just happens. Maybe they just had a fatal flaw.
Well, do you remember upon arrival when they were just like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Upon arrival when like they land in, they're just like, can we trust this place? Whatever. Yeah, we can trust it. Like I've known her forever. She's been running this place forever. Like, okay, everyone, come on, let's just go ahead and put a magnifying glass.
That's true, but Han Solo is in his 70s now.
He should know better.
That's a signature of his character, though. Biting off too much he can chew.
Yeah, he makes mistakes. Han Solo is known for making. I mean, that's his thing. Like
those gangs on the.
Which felt very Guardians of the Galaxy, but
it did.
Yeah.
The squid thing kind of felt out of place. I didn't really like the scene that much, but it was kind of whatever.
It's like, let's be stuck in these fences.
They just didn't want it. They probably didn't want it to be boring.
They wanted to introduce Han, and I liked that, like him talking. I thought that was hilarious. And then the squid things got out.
Although.
And you knew they were going to get out.
Things is like, okay, you watch them pick up the people, eat them, pick up the people, eat them, and then it's like, oh, let's pick up Finn and carry him around for 4.5
That's what I was thinking. I was
before
like,
he eats them. Like,
yeah, of course the main character isn't going to get eaten, but
yeah, and of course the main character is going to have blood smeared down his face, and of course R2-D2 is just going to come along to continue the story. Yeah, there's a lot of things that just happen.
Yeah, so that BB-8 scene was a little bit of a problem when I realized. I was like, that's a problem. I don't care because I love the movie so much, but it is still an issue I have. But I loved Maz Kanata. Lupita Nyong'o. Her voice was perfect for that character. I wonder how she feels about playing somebody that old.
She needs to play somebody evil.
I wonder when they brought her.
Didn't you say what's his name? Benicio del Toro. Oh my God. Oh,
yes, Benicio del Toro.
Oh, her and Benicio. If he's her master. Oh my God.
If he is like what he was in Sicario.
Oh, pure evil.
Oh, he was so cool in Sicario. Oh. But now we brought it up with the Finn, and we said we're going to bring up some issues. So let's talk about. I already brought it up with BB-8, but some issues. Let's talk about another issue, potential with Finn. So, what were your issues with that? I mean, as far as him just deciding to be good.
Yeah, it was kind of random that he, after being brainwashed from birth, it's not like he ever had a glimpse of something being right, and then him being brainwashed into this. So there was no like. I doubt they gave them exposure to things opposite of what they were brainwashing them with. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you're taught something forever.
Was he brainwashed by birth, or was he... Because he did say they came to his village and killed his parents. So I don't know how old he was supposed to be. Maybe he was an infant. I don't know. I feel like they wouldn't be in the business of daycare, though. So they might wait until he's like 10 or something. But
so maybe he did remember, but he never had any... He just said that. He didn't remember anything else.
Because if that is the case, that's important.
Yeah.
Because if he did have some years of don't be a douche, then maybe that's kind of important. And then
that means other ones should probably be snapping out of
That's
it.
the other.
He could have pulled some along with him if he would have tried. I mean,
but then he impales him with a lightsaber.
Yeah, I mean, like, why? It would have been cool to see if maybe there were a bunch that revolted against, and he was the only one that survived on the escape mission or something. I don't know. It was just interesting that he was the only one out of all of them to do it. I mean, they did have a reconditioning unit, so that means maybe others did, but I don't know. He seemed to be the only one at the time, and he didn't tell anybody else but himself. And then when that pilot,
I liked how they showed that he was being selfish, because he goes up to the pilot, to Poe Dameron, and he's like, I need your help because it's the right thing to do.
Oh, you need a pilot.
Yeah. I mean, yes, maybe you are trying to do the right thing, but you're also looking out for yourself, because, again, we see him take the lightsaber and impale one of his comrades. And just because he called you a traitor, I mean, I know you have to defend yourself, but I was like, this would have been cool, but who was doing it and why it happened bothered me. Because I was like, whoa, you just impaled. I've never seen a stormtrooper just get impaled. Yeah. That kind of took me out, because I was like, dark is always cool, but sometimes that wasn't cool. I was like, I don't know how I feel about you. I mean, maybe I'll be okay with it later.
Well, it was weird because they finally gave a stormtrooper a face. Like, that was the first time they'd ever done it. And so they give the stormtrooper the face, and you start, oh, wow, they're actually people, the blood down the face. And it's like, oh, let's just stick a lightsaber right through it.
Did he kill another one, or did he just kill that one?
I think that was all he did directly. He shot a bunch of other ones.
And people were having a problem with him using lightsaber, and they're like, oh, how can he be so good at it? He wasn't good at it.
He wasn't, no. He used it like a Neanderthal killing it.
But I thought it was cool, though. I like the way...
When he fought Kylo Ren, remember, he got wrecked, though.
And people were like, how can he take on Kylo Ren? He didn't. Kylo Ren, for one, was playing with him, like a lion playing with a mouse.
Yeah, think about it. Kylo Ren could have easily went and just killed him right there.
Yeah. He could crush his brain.
I always wondered that. I was like, why don't the Sith just immediately walk into the room and just kill everybody?
Because ones like Darth Vader, they enjoy it. Because, like in Darth Vader, I don't know if you know, but Darth Vader is in constant pain, for one, from his burns.
Oh, yeah.
He's in constant pain for his whole life. And he's pissed his whole life. He's always angry. So I think he's always just looking to take it out on... He likes a good lightsaber duel because he knows how good he is at it.
And then I guess Kylo Ren had that constant internal pain of not fitting anywhere.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't completely evil. He wasn't completely good. And even if he went back home, he could never be completely trusted. He did go evil.
And he's trying to live up to his grandfather, who he knows nothing about. Mm-hmm. And that's something somebody else brought it up, because the Force Ghost. Why hasn't Anakin come to him and said, "Hey man, what I did was terrible. I murdered kids. That was all bad. I finally realized at the end of my life that it was wrong." So maybe Anakin's on a vacation, on Ghost Vacation or something, but I don't know.
He was finally sent to hell.
When Rey did her touch Luke's lightsaber, and she had all these flashbacks, and she saw Luke touching R2-D2, they actually used, like, they had Ewan McGregor come in and say Obi-Wan's lines from A New Hope, I think.
Huh.
And he actually said them. And then they had Frank Oz, who was the voice of Puppet Yoda. I think all of the Yodas, actually, even CGI Yoda. And he did some voice, too. I didn't even notice that. I mean, I remember hearing some slight voices, but I could barely tell what they were saying. Yeah. Apparently they had Yoda come in and say some things, and they had Ewan McGregor, who played the young Obi-Wan. So I was like, oh, that's interesting.
I loved that scene.
Because they're all Force ghosts.
Where she touched it, yeah, and she gets through all these things. And then when he's Kylo Ren, oh, God. I just love that scene. I was like, oh, are they going to fight there? And then I realized it's still a dream. That would have been an awesome dream sequence fight.
And they I think they were over like dead bodies and things. It was, somebody said it paralleled Seven Samurai, because George Lucas based somewhat off of Seven Samurai. But yeah, I thought that's interesting. I hope they come up with something about the Anakin, because why wouldn't he just go, "Hey grandson, this is wrong."
Yeah. Hey man, stop.
Yes.
And then I feel like that would push him over the edge, in a way, because he was literally praying to him. And like for guidance and everything. So if he just came and was like, "No, don't be evil. No, it's not right."
Maybe that's why he was so weak towards Rey. Because if you're not decisive, maybe he's indecisive.
Maybe he didn't want to kill him.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, he's like Darth Vader was struggling with being, because he was darkness, but he was struggling. He was a good guy struggling with going into the dark side. Kylo Ren's like a bad guy struggling with going into the light side. And they're almost opposites of each other.
What if they made Finn evil again?
I don't think they would do that. What would be the whole point of making him a stormtrooper with a conscience and then saying, "Oh no, he's still a stormtrooper"? And stormtroopers aren't evil.
Right.
They're just brainwashed.
I mean,
I don't know who would fill the next role of Vader or whatever. If he were,
I don't think anybody needs. I mean, Kylo Ren is obviously the new figure.
But I'm saying, like, what if he switches over? Like, who's going to fill that role?
Oh, if he switches over, it'll be at the end of the.
Yeah, and there's so many unanswered questions as it is.
And I don't know.
Too far ahead.
And looking next because next we have Rogue One, and then we have Episode 8. We're not even going to talk about Rogue One because that's in the past. But Episode 8, that's going to be the furthering. Obviously, Luke is going to train Rey, I think. Although, who knows how much training she needs.
Yeah, because clearly she's very powerful with the Force. But she can take out a trained, whatever he is, Knights of Ren Lord, because I can't say Sith, really. But she could take him out easily. She was just...
But yeah, apparently she has the Force, but maybe Luke's like, well, I can pick up this island.
God, could you imagine?
Yeah.
She says, how'd you get to the island? It came to me.
I brought it here. In fact, I flew on it through space. I don't even need to. I can just breathe in space.
Oh, he can go light speed in space.
I mean, who cares? I mean, they have sound in space.
I remember the first thing that came when it went. I went, how do they have sound in space when the ship's going?
That's why I always say Star Wars. I mean, it's a fantasy because there's no sound in space.
Yeah, but that's funny.
So then you have Episode 9. Episode 8 is going to be directed by Rian Johnson, who did Looper. I don't know if I feel like you saw it.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? He did Looper and did something else. Apparently, people are really good guy. And then you have Colin Trevorrow, who did Jurassic World, doing Episode 9. I don't know how I feel about him doing it because it's like Jurassic World was fine, but his first movie, or I don't know if it was first, but the one I saw was Safety Not Guaranteed, which is complete opposite of Jurassic World. Small, independent movie. It had a girl from Aubrey Plaza from Parks and Rec. It was a really small movie, and Jake Johnson from New Girl. Oh. They were in then it was a really small movie. It had a little sci-fi at the end, but it was pretty much normal. So if he can keep the creativity that he had then for Episode 9, because I want him to take less of Jurassic World. I mean, he can take the action sequences because I thought he did a really good job with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Other than the action sequences, I wasn't a big fan of the movie. If he can mix the action sequences from Jurassic World and take Safety Not Guaranteed storytelling wise, put that together, I think we're in for a good finale to the trilogy. But that's what I'm wondering. We keep assuming it's going to be a trilogy, but Kathleen Kennedy and everybody's made it very clear they were doing a Star Wars movie every year, whether it's anthology or episodic. And I feel weird if they just were like, oh, Episode 9's done, okay. We're just going to have anthology films from now on.
No, I couldn't see them doing.
But I don't know what they do. Further?
People would lose interest in the series. Think about it. Like, you don't cap off a video game to go back and play the side quest.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, why would you do it?
Unless you make the side quest episodic.
Oh God, if they do Knights of the Old Republic, make it canon, make it an entire new series.
What if they did? What if they were like, we're going to do what the original trilogy did. They did the original trilogy, and then we did the prequels, which sucked, but. Obviously, you're gonna have more trust. We're probably gonna have more trust. Force Awakens was good. Mm-hmm. Rogue One looks like it's gonna be great. I'm sure if they keep up what they're doing, it's gonna be fine. What if they were like, Episode 10, 11, 12 is Old Republic. We're going back 1,500 years, and we're gonna.
That's so good.
That would be awesome
because it didn't necessarily shape what we have now. So there's nothing to predict, even if they did go back, because it was like a lot of the things. None of them mentioned any of that. So if they did that, and it was a galaxy a long time ago, far, far away from the one that's far, far away from us.
Yeah. So it's not even in the same galaxy.
It's not like the same thing at all. Usually, they
might
do
be the same galaxy.
Yeah, but I mean,
they have a whole universe. Wow.
Yeah, but they never really mention. They never go. Darth Vader was
explain. You could literally explain the Force.
I mean, the galaxy's infinite. So they don't have to have anything connected.
People keep saying, "Oh, Old Republic could be an anthology film." I was like, "Why limit it to one? You have how many years? I think I looked up Star Wars. Star Wars is like the timeline. Like they're supposed to be like the timeline that we're in now. Like I was like, how they say the universe is like 13.8 billion. I think they're saying the same thing for Star Wars, which I thought was weird because it's a long time ago. But whatever.
Yeah, I was like.
But regardless, you could go back 1 billion years or something in the Star Wars universe, or maybe not 1 billion. I don't know, however many. You could go back 100,000, 1 million years. I mean. and explain the Force. I think you'd have to go back farther than Old Republic to explain the Force, because
Old Republic, they all were very like good with the Force.
Yeah, they were well versed.
They were pure evil. Some of them were pure evil, and some of them were like just like Kylo Ren. They were torn, or they had like dual identities, or I mean, there's a lot of things. I don't want to spoil anything of that series, but
people always used to say, with the old trilogy, how come the technology has regressed? Like when you think about how the prequels, the technology looked all nice and CGI, and then it regressed in the old trilogy. Well, that's because the universe had been worn. Like the Empire had kind of choked any creativity or anything. They had held everything. They kind of just stopped growth. So the Old Republic could be very futuristic still. But it's just showing how it goes through waves. Like this new Star Wars feels more futuristic to me. Maybe it's just because it looks newer.
Yeah.
But it feels it kind of feels like the Force has been awakened. Like it's going back from what the prequels were, like this beautiful world, kind of like an actual sci-fi thing, not just a worn, torn up world. Because the original trilogy is not. I mean, there's futuristic things obviously, but it's very worn, and you can tell that people have moved through there. This one looks a little bit. It's worn, but it kind
flows naturally. I think the biggest difference between the old trilogy and the new trilogy is all the technology flows naturally. I don't know how to explain it, but like it's not boxy. It's not like.
I think I know what you mean.
It's way less limited. Like the old trilogy had like this mindset of here's the future, and it's almost like putting a box around it, whereas they kind of smoothed the edges for the new one.
And we can defend how the waves, and I think it does go in waves, but at the end of the day, the movies were made in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. There was no such thing as CGI. You had to do what you had to do. When they blew stuff up, they actually blew little toys up. Like the ships were all just little, I don't know what you call them, but not toys.
Replicas?
Models.
Prototype?
Something like that's what they would film, and they would just, it was a lot of like, what they do with claymation, like how they do a bunch of cuts. That's how they would do it with those things. So, and then they'd actually...
You would tell sometimes, but...
Yeah, but they put a lot of care into it. That's why it looks so good still. Because you're like, oh, I mean, it's the 70s. It doesn't... but...
How hard will it... Oh, my gosh. Everybody who worked on that. Kudos to them.
I know George Lucas doesn't get enough. People always say, oh, he's an idiot for the prequels. No, he's a genius. If he had gotten hit by a bus in 1972, there'd be no such thing as Star Wars, buddy. There also wouldn't be a thing as Indiana Jones, so... And the Hollywood industry wouldn't be where it is, and neither would technology. The things he's done for people have no idea what George Lucas has done. Anyway, he's a genius. Sorry, that's my little rant. I just hate it when people call him an idiot all of a sudden. What? You wouldn't call Einstein an idiot. I'm not saying he's Einstein, but you know what I mean. But any final thoughts before we give our rating?
No. It deserved its $529 million opening weekend.
Oh yeah, that's what. It had 248 opening domestically, 529 worldwide,
breaking Jurassic World's record.
Today's Tuesday, so Monday it broke. The Spider-Man 2 had, I think that came out in 2004, so that had like almost 12-year record of 11.5-year record of like 27, I want to say Monday, because Mondays aren't big box office days. But this smashed it. I think it beat it by 40% because it made it to 40 million.
Well, also, I mean, you figure with the holidays coming, people are going to come together and watch it. So, I mean, it kind of fell into the weather time frame.
Like nationwide is not bad at all. Because people are like, I wonder if the weather's going to stop it. Not this year.
Nope. Star Wars said, nope. To Mother Nature.
Yeah, what if that happens?
Force choking Mother Nature the whole time.
They have a Death Star right now that's changing weather patterns. We have no idea.
Hey, Disney has the money.
Yeah, if they want to build a Death Star, they...
Oh, God, could you imagine?
But,
that'd be so cool.
And this movie, Critics' Choice Awards, they came up with their nominees, like I think last week or 2 weeks ago. I think probably last week. And Star Wars wasn't on it because they hadn't shown it yet. Because they wanted to keep all the secrets, obviously with Han dying and Luke at the end. They wanted to keep things close. But now Critics' Choice took Star Wars and put it into their best movies of the year, so it's nominated for Best Picture at the Critics' Choice.
Very believable. I can see it winning. Critics'
Choice is, that's the telltale. And then you have... The Golden Globes didn't do anything, but the Golden Globes are garbage. So we might see some DGAs, some WGAs. So I think this has a very good chance of getting a Oscar nomination. Yeah. To be the first one since the first movie to get a Best Picture. Because people don't realize the first one, Best Picture, Best Director, Best Writer, Best Supporting Actor. special effects, obviously. It won 7 Oscars. So, I mean, that was a big movie. So
That's
this, I think,
good.
might return.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. But it's people. I always hear people say, I just want to talk. People always say it's not a perfect movie. Why does it have to be perfect? I always hear people say that.
Is perfect.
People are only saying that because it's Star Wars.
And it's
not
perfect,
a perfect movie.
It's
Of course
perfect
not a
in the
perfect
director's eyes. It's not going to be perfect to everyone else's eyes.
I'm sure it's not
because
perfect
everyone's opinion's different.
It's not even perfect in JJ's eyes, I'm sure. I'm sure he looks at things and goes, oh, God, why did I do that? Because that's what people do. That's what creative people do when they see what they've made. But it's not, who cares if it's not perfect?
And we also tend to forget after watching the film, they had to stop filming for, 7 to 8 months because of Harrison Ford breaking his
Well, they
leg
didn't have to stop
or
that
arm.
long. They had to stop a few weeks. But
No, they had to stop for a while.
because that was in, the spring of this year? So they didn't have to stop 7 or 8 months because that means they would have come back, now.
Recently, yeah. But still,
They had done most of their filming.
they stopped
Just
a
filmed it
lot.
last week.
They had to stop some things, yeah. I mean, there was a few things I think they had to stop. But nevertheless, they went through a lot.
Yeah.
And so JJ, he must feel good now. Because he's like,
Have it done.
oh. And he doesn't have to do the next ones.
And no one's saying it's bad. That's probably the biggest relief.
Has a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, Metascore 8.1. I mean, it's on track to get nominated for Best Picture. So, I mean...
He made the right decision.
Yeah, so... And JJ, the way this movie flew by, I could see it getting some editing nominations. Maybe a director. I don't know. There's a lot of great movies this year, but people, it's not perfect. What movie is perfect? I haven't seen a perfect movie this year. Ex Machina, my favorite movie this year. Not perfect. Last year's Best Picture winner, what was it? Birdman. Not perfect.
It's better get a special effects nomination.
Oh, I'm sure.
Those ships all look so good.
Mad Max might win. This
And
year.
that sequence with where Ray was flying through that Star Destroyer.
Oh yeah.
With that I always forget what they're called. Those X-wings? No, they're TIE fighters.
Yeah.
The one that was chasing her. I was like, oh my gosh, this looks so good.
Yeah, it looked great. So, this is a good year for genre films because Mad Max is getting sweeping the awards, as far as nominations, and it's winning, and the director is winning. So I was like, this is crazy. This might be a big year for genre movies, like sci-fi, like all the nerdy movies. I think people every once in a while people take them seriously, like Lord of the Rings. That was an era where people were like, oh yeah, this is the best movie of the year. We got to say it. Every once in a while there'll be an animated movie nominated for Best Picture or Star Wars back in the day. So I think we're back in that time where Mad Max and stuff. Hopefully it just becomes normal. I don't know why. Yeah. I feel like sometimes there's like this. Why do we have to
stigma because there's already fans and
there's dumb movies for teenagers and they have special.
I saw more old people at the opening night than any other film.
Nostalgia.
This movie brings people together, whether you're in your 70s or you're in your 5. So I think this is great. So what's your rating?
I'd say like a 9.5 out of 10. Probably
9 out of 10.
I was thinking I'm wrestling between 8.5 and a 9, so I'm somewhere in there. 8.5, 9. Regardless, very good. I'll say 8.7. I really liked the movie. I enjoyed it. It's not without its flaws, obviously. Not perfect, as everybody says, of course.
No.
So you know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment, and thanks for watching. Stay film smart.